In the midst of small talk, Kirk says kind of suddenly with intensity, he says, "They gave her back to me, Scotty." "Gave her back, sir. I doubt it was that easy with Negura," Scotty says. And Kirk says, "You're right," and they laugh. And then there's this really pleasant pause, and then Scotty says, "Any man who can manage such a feat, I do not dare disappoint. She'll launch on time, sir, and she'll be ready." So the key heart of the Kirk part of the story is beginning to emerge already at this point, because we get the picture here. Basically, Kirk wanted and felt he needed to get this part of his life back, this old experience that he lost when he became an admiral, and he's been longing for ever since. So he apparently committed himself to an extremely difficult, extended task of making it happen, that he get that thing back. And Scotty can tell, based on what he knows about Admiral Negura, that that couldn't have been easy, and Kirk laughs because he knows it too, and it wasn't easy. But now, this is the point in Kirk's story where, after all that hard work, Kirk has finally got what he wanted, what he was longing for so long. So, while he has to be somber because of the dire nature of all the circumstances, Kirk is excited and thrilled and exulting in the joy of what he has finally gotten back. Not unlike, perhaps, the viewers, who also recognize that something scary is going on in the background, but they're really just plain old excited to see Star Trek and to see the Enterprise and Kirk and everything back on the screen again. So in that sense, the Star Trek fans in 1979 got to take the joyful and restful sightseeing ride with Kirk, partly because Kirk's emotional state kind of parallels theirs. And maybe for some of us, even watching it now, we still feel a little bit of that joy with Kirk, and from our own enjoyment of returning to this beautiful place where we feel at home and like we really belong, and we don't want to ever have to go away from it ever again. Anyway, so this takes us to the really well-known part of the film, where we get all the multi-variegated, really slow shots of slowly approaching the Enterprise against this heartwarming, joyful musical mix of the melodic TNG/TMP theme music. And I really think that this part of the film is, quote unquote, about joy. And to tie that in thematically with the themes of the rest of the film, this would connect, I think, with the theme of the fulfillment of desire or longing. So the concept of felt needs, desires, longings. In this case, it is longing fulfilled, and the unbridled quiet joy that can follow if you choose to mindfully appreciate what you're getting in the present moment, if you choose to practice gratitude while you live this new part of life, rather than just kind of plowing forward greedily without noticing and appreciating the beauty and significance and meaning of the fulfillment of joyful desire. When I talk about gratitude and mindfulness, this is a similar concept to when, in the film First Contact, if you remember that moment when Picard slowly and reflectively puts his hand on the hull of the Phoenix, and Data asks him, "What are you doing?" Same concept, I think. Picard didn't want to rush by. He wanted to slow down and experience the significance of the moment that he was experiencing. And then even more emphatically, in the film Insurrection, Picard is even more convinced when the beautiful Baku woman teaches him the beauty of actually slowing down time, literally using her magical powers on that magical planet there, actually literally slowing down time to capture beautiful moments that don't have to be lost quite so suddenly. We don't have to keep rushing. There are beautiful things worth capturing and hanging on to for a moment, cherishing, so that time stops and we are frozen in joyful rest with that moment. So those kinds of things, I think those kinds of things are kind of what this opening portion of this first Star Trek film, the motion picture, is kind of doing as well. Kirk is slowing down and appreciating, feeling, letting the moments seep into him. And then we are doing that with him, because returning to the Enterprise is the fulfillment of longing and joy, both for Kirk and for perhaps the viewers, if the viewers are fans who have been longing for this for, let's say, coming close to 10 years in 1979. So the assumption is, let's not rush by it. Let's bask in the beauty of it. Let's remind ourselves of the previous desires that used to be desires and longings. Let's review the significance and let's imprint into our minds what it feels like to restfully engage with this new reality in which the pain has lifted and the joy has come. Or the joy has come if we take the time to slow down and notice it and cultivate the spirit of gratitude. Anyway, so with this theme of fulfilled longing and joy and all that, I wonder if that's why for a lot of people, the final actual ending of the film ends up feeling so relatively unsatisfying to a lot of viewers. I wonder if that's partly because the filmmakers actually front-loaded the joy and fulfillment part. The highest high of the film is actually the high that comes about 30 minutes in. So then afterwards, the climax has already long passed by the time we get to all the stuff about V'ger and the Ilea probe and all that good stuff, and then you get to the actual climax of the film, per se. In a sense, nothing in the emotional presentation of the last hour of the film could come close to the emphatic ecstasy of the first 30 minutes, which maybe is part of why, in the end, a lot of people just kind of feel underwhelmed and let down, because they already had the happy ending back at the beginning, and now at the final end, they're just kind of let down. Anyway, so Kirk and Scotty, they finally dock and they come on board. Kirk takes a moment to pause and notice this wide open view of the shuttle bay before moving along. I think Kirk really is just enjoying taking it in. I think we could say that if the viewer wants to do that too, then the viewer is probably going to enjoy this part of the film. I suspect a lot of the critics and haters of the film probably aren't looking for that kind of appeal quite so much in the film in the first place. I think in a way, this part of the film, the first 30 minutes, is really kind of about the beauty and the aesthetic aspect and the grandeur of it. In that sense, this is sort of a majestic, reverent tourism film for the first 30 minutes of it, at least. Anyway, Kirk gets to the bridge and it's kind of just buzzing and crammed full of busy repair crews. And then it goes silent the moment Uhura sees him, and everybody crowds around Admiral Kirk with enthusiasm. And the moment he's out of earshot going down on the turbolift, Sulu says, "He wanted her back, he got her."